Hello and welcome to this Godot tutorial where you will learn how to create ribbon particle system. I planned to release this tutorial way earlier, but sadly Shadowplay was cutting like 25% of video at the beginning basically. So I had to download the OBS and hopefully it will work now. So what are particle system? Or ribbon particles. Basically they are particles that are connected with line. In Godot we cannot create exactly the same thing. We can create semi-decent trails, but right now there is no way to create ribbon particles. So we will be using Line2D to do this. And if you've not seen my previous video, I highly recommend you will watch it, because we will be modifying the exact same script to create basically ribbon particles. Okay, I got this basic scene here with kinematic body and ribbon particles. It's the same script from a previous video, nothing changed, and as you can see. So let's modify few things here. Let's change trail length to particle count. And also here. And also let's change process function into physics process. That way we are sure that our particles are rendered without frame rate, or basically frame rate independent. So no matter how or on what machine it will be displayed or in what frame rate, we are sure that our particles will always render the same. So if someone is not using VSync, then it will be perfectly fine. Okay, so how we can basically create ribbon particles in using the Line2D, and what we basically need to do is modify the positions of each point in the array that is created with Line2D. And if we will jump quickly into Godot documentation, you can see it's Line2D documentation. We got two functions, get point position and also set point position. And if we scroll down, you have here get point position, returns point index position, and also set point position overrides the position in point index with the supplied position. So we can use those two functions to modify how our points behave in space. Let's basically do just that. So to access all the points in the array, we need to loop through them. So we will use for that for loop. So for index in range points size. This way our loop will loop through all the points in the array of Line2D. And now we want to change basically the position. And in this tutorial we will be creating like a cigarette smoke. So first let's make our points to move upwards. So as the same as smoke, the points will move upwards into the sky. So let's do that. Let's use set point position at index, and here vector to position. So let's do vector 2, and now get point position, and it will be I at x. We are accessing x-axis of that point, and also get point position at index I, and we'll be accessing y-axis. Okay, so now we don't modify basically anything, right? We just taking the point, setting the point positions to what already there. So let's add some speed to it. And to do that, let's create new variable. and let's say we'll call it speed y and set it to 75. Okay, so now in the get point position we will add this to our y axis. So in here let's do plus speed y, or maybe not, yes, plus minus speed y because we want it to move upwards, times delta. And now if we run it, the points should go upwards. Let me just quickly check. Yes, we need to assign our kinematic body, and also let's set it to, let's say, 80. Okay, and now let's run it, and you can see our points move upwards. They create a nice line that moves constantly upwards and follows our body. Okay, that's fine. Let's also change how it looks like. So let's move to capping, and joint mode, let's create round and change it to round, so that way it's rounding how the points connect. And also in fill, let's create new gradient, and let's change how it behaves. So let's add midpoint, let's say like grayish, something like that, and place it here. And in this point let's change the alpha to 0, so that way our points will slightly fade away at the end and get darker as they go. So let's see. Yep, that's basically it. Okay, so we got the movement upwards done, but if you know, the smoke slightly moves as the air flows and all that. So let's do that, and to do it we'll use if statements. So if I is more, if I is less, no, if I is more than 0 and I is less than trail particle count divided by 4. So this way we are accessing first quarter of the points. Let's say speed x equals random range minus 20 and 25, minus 20, and let's create that variable speed x. Okay, now if I is more than particle count divided by 4 plus 1, so we're taking quarter of the points plus 1 point, and I is less than particle count divided by 2. That way we are taking another quarter of the points. Speed x equals run range minus 50, 50. Okay, if I is more than particle count divided by 2 plus 1. This way we are accessing half of the points plus 1. And I is less than particle count times 0.75. That way we are accessing another quarter of the points. And speed x equals rand range minus 100, and else we'll do speed x equals rand range minus 150, Okay, and here we'll do the exact same thing as in the y-axis, so plus speed x times delta. And now if we run this our script, you can see it behaves kind of like smoke, but it's very jittery and very chaotic. And also I think, yeah, it's correct, everything is fine, but it's very jittery, it's like very clumped together and it's not looking exactly that good, right? So let's maybe create points later. Of course, it might be something you are looking for to create such smoke effect, for example from campfire or something like that, but for me I want to create cigarette smoke, and cigarette smoke is much longer and the points should be separated from each other more. So how we can do it, how we can create points not each frame, but instead we want to create points, for example, every third frame. And to do this, we'll create new variable, frame count, and set it to 0. And now at the end of our physics process, let's do frame count plus equals 1. So each frame we're adding 1 to frame count. And now, before our add point, let's add if statement and do frame count modulo by 3 equals 0. And here let's do frame count equals 0. So we're resetting it. So what does it do? It basically takes the frame count, tries to divide it by 3, and if there is nothing left, so there is no decimal numbers, it runs the code, and we add the point exactly every 3 frames. So now if we run it, you can see the trail is much more separated. I will show you it more with higher numbers, so it's more visible. Let's say 15. And now you can see, of course, there is a downside to it, because we are creating it every 15 frames. There is that jittering. So I would suggest keeping the number low, like 3 frames, 2 frames, or something like that. But that's basically it. You can modify it in any other way. You just need to loop through the points and add your rules to it. So thank you guys for watching, and I hopefully will see you in the next tutorial.